3 years ago, the University of Montana hired Bob Stitt to be the head football coach. The dreams of Big Sky championships and playoff appearances came to an end yesterday with this announcement from athletic director Kent Haslam.
I met with Bob Stitt earlier today. We had a great discussion, and at that point I notified him that we would not be renewing his contract as the head football coach at the University of Montana after it expired on January 31st, 2018. These are tough decisions. Ones that do not come without consequence for many people involved. He was certainly disappointed, but nothing but class from head coach Bob Stitt.
Haslam said he and his staff will start immediately with a national search for a new head coach with high expectations considering all that UM has to offer.
We'll now move quickly for a search for a new head football coach. We have so much to offer, great facilities, passionate fan base, wonderful academic experience, beautiful setting, all those things that we know that set Montana apart. I'm confident we'll attract a highly qualified coach.
Stitt's record at Montana was 21-14 overall after Saturday's second straight loss to Montana State. The Grizzlies failed to make the playoffs for the second year in a row, something that hasn't happened since the early 1990s. Montana ended the season the way it began, out of the top 25 teams in the FCS. A Hamilton jury has found Dr. Chris Christensen guilty on all 22 counts in a trial where he was accused of negligent homicide for causing the deaths of overdose deaths of two patients in Montana. Ravalli County Attorney Bill Fulbright said Christensen could be sentenced to a maximum of over 400 years in prison on all counts. He says he doesn't believe the sentence should be tempered due to the serious nature of those crimes.
Given the history that we laid out, where Dr. Christensen did this also in the state of Idaho, was absolutely on notice of it there. I was told that his patients died in Idaho. Came over here, and once he got his DEA license back in 2011, immediately started in the same conduct. And it ended up, within 6 months of getting his DEA license back, we had our first overdose death.
Christensen's attorney, Josh Van de Wettering of Missoula, said he was disappointed with the verdict.
We argued that, and will continue to argue, that Dr. Christensen really didn't create any crime. He didn't do anything that's wrong in the criminal law. Even if one believed that his prescriptions were misguided, that doesn't constitute a crime. And of course, that carries over into those other charges also, that he's not the one responsible for people's deaths, and he didn't endanger anybody simply by writing prescriptions.
Fulbright said the conviction and sentence should send a message to those who practice medicine outside the boundaries of accepted practice.
What we've also picked up on, great support from the medical community for this prosecution, and what I read from that is the recognition within the medical community that the defendant here, Dr. Christensen, was an outlier, and not just a difference of opinion outlier, but way out there.
For the time being, Christensen remains free on $200,000 bond pending sentencing in late December. Authorities have identified the man who was killed by police this past weekend in Billings. The Billings Gazette reports 24-year-old Preston David Bell was fatally shot Saturday. Deputy Coroner Cliff Mahoney said results from a Monday autopsy are expected to be available in the next few weeks. 5 officers opened fire on Bell after he led police on a chase that reached 60 miles per hour on residential streets. Police say the officers fired at Bell after he reached into his glove box and then backed into his vehicle into a police vehicle blockade. Police did not know as of Saturday morning how many shots were fired or whether Bell was armed. Chief Rich St. John said Bell was known to law enforcement. Montana Political Practices Commissioner Jeff Mangan has ruled against Missoula Mayor John Engen in a recent decision that Mangan says will likely end with the payment of a fine. One of the major findings deals with expenditures to Brock Consulting for what the Engen campaign called campaign services, a definition of the commissioner described as generic, and I quote, "These generic expenditure listings do not meet Montana's statutory requirement regarding detail of campaign finance reports." And it continued, the failure to fully and timely report and disclose cannot generally be excused by oversight or ignorance. Missoula attorney Quentin Rhodes, who submitted the complaint, said he's not surprised at the decision, but says he's troubled by the lack of transparency.
This isn't just some rookie mistake. He's a highly experienced professional politician who's been in how many campaigns now? He raised $100,000 for his campaign. I think it's the most expensive mayoral race in Montana history, if I'm not mistaken. And he failed to legally report at least $16,000, $15,000, or 16% of the total He spent.
Campaign transparency was a major issue in the campaign between Engen and challenger Lisa Tripke after Mangan ruled against Tripke in a decision released during the heart of the campaign. The decision against Engen covers much of the same ground but came out more than a week after the election. Rhodes said he was glad that Mangan didn't rush the decision, saying, quote, due deliberation was in order here, end quote. A 20-year-old Missoula woman and her roommates were startled by someone actively burglarizing their home during the early morning hours Saturday. Police spokesman Travis Welsh explains.
At about 2:30 a.m., 911 received a call from a resident in the 1300 block of South 2nd Street West who stated that she and roommates had heard somebody enter their apartment and appeared to be moving around inside. The caller advised 911 that they were hiding and requested law enforcement respond.
Police arrived shortly thereafter and apparently caught the burglar red-handed.
As officers arrived, they approached the residence on foot, and they observed a male walking out of the building carrying items that they saw him set on a sidewalk near a vehicle. And after their investigation, they arrested him for burglary. He is identified as 52-year-old Monty Hutchison.
Welsh says police confirmed that the man was in possession of personal items taken out of the residence. He's now in Missoula County Jail on $50,000 bond. Documents obtained by a left-leaning group show that Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke's wife played a key role in arranging aspects of her husband's official events and often accompanied him on trips outside of Washington, D.C. during the first few months of the administration. The documents obtained by the Montana-based Western Values Project and first reported by Politico on Monday show that Lolita Zinke created a list of people she wanted at a conservative town hall in Santa Barbara, California. The Washington Post reports Lolita Zinke owns a home in Santa Barbara and accompanied her husband through the state in mid-April. About a month later, staffers overhauled travel plans on an Alaska trip after they learned she wanted to dine with the state's governor rather than return to Washington as planned. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance of showers as we head into the afternoon. Daytime highs will be in the low 40s tonight. Could see a wintry mix of rain and snowfall with rain likely again Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.